Good afternoon. Thank you and welcome to our meeting for today for the San Bernardino International Airport Authority. It's the regular meeting for Wednesday, June 28th, 2023, and it is approximately 3:02 p.m. Madam Clerk, if you would please do roll call.
Yes, certainly. Members from the City of Colton present?
Frank Navarro.
Thank you. Please note Member Chavarria in the audience. Thank you. Members from the City of Loma Linda?
Phil Duper.
Thank you. Member from the County of San Bernardino, 3rd District?
Don Rao.
Thank you. Member from the City of Highland?
Penny Lilburn.
Thank you. And members from the City of San Bernardino?
Fred Charette.
Thank you very much. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have any requests for public comment on closed items?
I have no request for public comment on closed session.
This time we will adjourn into closed session and reconvene shortly. And just relaxing. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
How's it going? You doing all right?
All right, thank you. We'll reconvene our meeting. I ask our attorney to read us out of closed session, please.
We have nothing to report out. We did, in fact, complete Mr. Burroughs' review. Sorry.
Thank you. Call to order the open session of the San Bernardino Airport Authority. Today is June 28th, approximately 4:07. Madam Clerk, could you please do another roll call?
Yes, certainly. Members in attendance from the City of Colton?
Frank Navarro.
Thank you. Member Chavarria is also in the audience for the record. Members from the City of Loma Linda?
Phil Duper.
Thank you. Member from the County of San Bernardino, 3rd District?
Don Rao.
Thank you. Members from the City of Highland?
Penny Lilburn.
Thank you. And members from the City of San Bernardino?
Theodore Sanchez and Fred Charette.
Thank you very much.
Supervisor Rao, would you do us the honor of the pledge?
Absolutely. Please join me in salute to our nation's great flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is there any items to be added or deleted to the agenda, Madam Clerk?
No items.
Thank you very much. Conflict of interest disclosure. Anybody wishing to disclose conflict?
Number 10 and number 14.
Number 10, 14. Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none and hearing none others. Informational items, Mr. Burroughs.
Just one today, and it's Mr. Barrow. Mr. Barrow.
Thank you, board members. We just had a little discrepancy in the closeout on this project of $318.15 difference, and just wanted to be noted for record.
What was that amount again, please?
$318.15.
Thank you.
And so with that change, that'll be reflected in the final recorded notice of completion, and that concludes our reports.
Thank you very much. Moving on to commission consent items. That's items number 3 through
11.
Thank you. 11. Thank you.
7 and 8 mostly for questions.
7 and 8 for questions. Okay. Go for it.
Okay. Just the change orders. I think there's change orders on both of them. If you could just do a quick description of what they were, because they nearly doubled the cost.
They did, and I'll let Mr. Barrow walk through that.
Okay.
It had to do with the inspections as well.
Yeah, so once we got started out there with the health department, there were some few issues that came back up afterwards with the initial inspector prior to final. He wanted some of the appliances off and built up on curbs. So it wasn't an original, as part of the original plan, but when the inspector came out, he asked for some additional things. He wanted some cold base in the storage room, some additional tile in the storage room. There was several different items like that on both projects, which drove up the cost on the initial overall.
Okay. And who did design? Did we contract that out, or was that done in-house?
It was an in-house design.
Okay. All right. I move to approve both. Well, we didn't pull them, did we?
No, we didn't. Any other comments or questions? Any public comment on any of the consent items, Madam Clerk?
No public comments, but can we repeat the motion in the second, please?
Yes, the motion was made by Councilmember Charette. I need a second.
Second.
Sanchez seconds.
Thank you very much. So we have a motion by Member Charette and a second by Member Sanchez, an abstention on number 10 by Member Rao. Members, please state your votes for the record. Member Navarro.
Yes?
Member Duper.
Yes.
Member Rao.
Yes.
Member Lilburn.
Yes.
Member Sanchez.
Yes.
And Member Charette.
Yes.
Thank you. Those items pass.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the commission action items, item number 12. This is to consider and discuss a report on annual business plan project. Mr. Burrows.
So I'm going to tee up the very talented clerk of the board team. As many of you know, every year we do report out our progress via story map, and Jennifer Rodriguez will be remoting in to guide us through this year's report. Jen and Jen.
Thank you. I believe Jennifer is on. Jennifer, can you hear us? Okay.
Yes, yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Good afternoon, commission members. I do apologize that I couldn't be there in person, but I am excited to present the 2022 SBIAA story map. And Jen's going to help me with going through the story map. So Jen, if you can scroll down. We want to start off with a little bit of background on the SBIAA. So comprised of the cities of Colton, Highland, Loma Linda, and San Bernardino, and the county of San Bernardino, the SBIAA was formed in 1992 to oversee the development and reuse of the aviation portions of the former Northern Air Force Base. And next, we're going to enter into some exciting news, something that we all have been waiting for, which was an airline. So Breeze Airways joined us last year on August 4th, 2022, and it began operating the first ever scheduled passenger services from SBD. And here's some pictures for your viewing. Thank you, Jen. And then next, we have the SBD airport. The airport is certificated by the FAA under Part 139 as a public commercial service airport. The airport supports air cargo, MROs, general aviation, corporate aviation, and as I mentioned above, air passenger services. And as we can scroll down to the annual air cargo. Thank you, Jen. So this graph here shows the air cargo growth at SBD, and it continues to outpace the nation in year-over-year growth. In 2022, the landed weight of air cargo aircraft at SBD reached 1.3 billion pounds. And next, this is a new graph to our story map that we thought it important to showcase, which is the annual commercial activity. Commercial activity has seen continuous growth at SBD, most recently including scheduled passenger services, Breeze Airways. And then we move into airport operations and business development section. First, we start off with the Amazon Air Regional Air Hub. The Amazon Air began operations in 2021 from a newly constructed 100-acre site, and we just love this footage right here. And Jen, can we scroll down to the next one? Next, we have UPS, who began continuous operations in November of 2017. And last but not least, we have FedEx, who began continuous operations in 2018. And just to note, a new cargo-only airport entrance has contributed to the addition of a new FedEx ground facility. And following that, we have our MROs. Maintenance services companies continue to expand at SBD, providing a full range of MRO services. And then we have our wonderful UAS Center at SBD. Established in 2020, the UAS Center at SBD partners with public and private sectors in support of regional workforce development initiatives. And just to note, myself and our clerk, Jennifer, and a lot of our airport operations staff is drone certified. And also, I love this drone footage, but a little bit about the San Manuel Land Exchange. The land exchange with San Manuel Band of Mission Indians and SBD expanded an intergovernmental partnership between the agencies through an acre-for-acre exchange of property interests and responsibilities. And now we would like to highlight the SBD Good Neighbor program. In an effort to keep the community informed, SBD launched the Good Neighbor program in July of 2020, and the commission does receive quarterly reports. And then this is probably one of my favorite sections, Norton the dog. I want to give a shout out to our airport operations team for that wonderful picture. But Airfield Operations acquired Norton, a wildlife mitigation canine, in December of 2022. Norton's duties include chasing away birds and other wildlife to keep the airfield safe without harming the natural habitat. And then we want to highlight our beautiful Luxair. Luxair welcomes corporate customers and general aviation pilots to enjoy one of the country's best FBOs. And filming opportunities. The SBD does offer an excellent location for the film industry. And for more information, the public can dial the number on the screen. And next, we enter our airport infrastructure section. Through funding from the FAA, EDA, and IBDA, the SBIAA continues to improve airport infrastructure. First, we begin with the fuel farm expansion project. Here are some pictures of during the construction and after. In 2021, a contract was approved with Bodell Construction Company for the expansion of the existing jet fuel farm, and it was completed May of last year. And then we have our green energy element. As a component of the 2010 strategic plan, the airport began investing in a variety of green energy programs. And as of April 2021, the airport advanced a new 5-year program to further incorporate some of the latest in energy efficiency and green energy technologies. And as we continue, we'll touch base on the runway 624 joint and spall repair project. In May of 2022, a contract was awarded to Goss Construction to repair concrete spalling and rehabilitate expansion joints through the runway. And next we have our taxiway shoulder improvement project. As well, in May of 2022, a contract was awarded to Griffith Company to provide for the reconstruction of asphalt shoulders and restriping associated taxiway markings. And next we have our rental car lot at SBD. The Hertz rental car opened a new location at SBD. The new parking lot includes shade, as you can see in the picture, and it's just a few steps from the terminal, which is wonderful for our customers. And the next two projects, we have the terminal improvements project, and here are some pictures. And then we also have our airport wayfinding and signage improvements. With Breeze joining the SBD team, the SBIAA Commission approved these projects to improve access to the terminal. And next we have our economic impact, which is our job creation and retention. We're replacing and exceeding the 10,000 jobs lost when the base closed. As of 2022, in partnership with the IBDA, 17,757 direct jobs have been created, generating over 4.4 billion in economic output. And if you click the link below where it says IBDA, that will take you to the IBDA story map that will have more information. And as we come to the end of our story map, we have our educational alliances. First, starting off with the San Bernardino Regional Emergency Training Center. That's a lot to say, but the SBRTC is the only facility in the Western U.S. that provides airport firefighter training as required by the FAA. And then our last slide is our public safety at SBD. SBD is home to one of the nation's largest U.S. Forest Services, as well as the County Sheriff Aviation Division. And with that, we want to thank you, Commission members, our wonderful staff, and our community members for being a part of a successful year. And we truly continue to look forward to working with every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Okay. Anything else on this item? We're done? Okay. Moving on to item number 13. Consider and adopt the San Bernardino International Airport Authority budget and related airport fee schedule and Luxair SBD pricing policy for fiscal year 23-24. Mr. Mark Cosino, please.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll start with our annual budget overview. And next slide, please. Staff always takes a conservative approach, and by that we mean realistic in terms of timing and quantities of our revenues, anticipated new revenues, and as well as our expenses that we anticipate. We consider unique economic and industry circumstances. We are engaged with active resource and revenue management to ensure that we continue to have those resources necessary to carry out the SBD's mission, as well as quarterly budget to actual updates that we hold with the commission, and that is also additive to monthly and ad hoc management budget to actual reports that are distributed every month to our management team. Our budget structure is such that our resources or our revenues are coming in the large, darker blue boxes on top. You can see that's intergovernmental revenues and resources. Lease revenues and other revenues or sources are probably the largest, as well as whenever we go out and bond or other debt proceeds. Those then flow into what we call our funds, which are really cost centers, as SBIAA is an enterprise fund and is essentially a single fund for government financial accounting and reporting purposes. And those cost centers are property management fund, fixed base operator, which is our Lexavere SBD, the general fund, debt service fund, and capital projects funds. Next slide. And here you can see the sources that we're looking for this year. Beginning cash of $8 million. The general fund has $18 million. Property management, $12 million. Capital projects, $3.5. Debt service, $1.2. And of course the FBO at 79, almost $80 million. The general fund uses by activity, our administration. This is primarily where we house our salary, wages, benefits, and employer taxes, airfield operations, and you can see the other activities that we engage in within the general fund. This is the primary, shows the uses in that fund or activity center of $18.7 million.
Can I, just a quick question, Mr. President?
go ahead.
How many of these were spiked as I look at terminal operations and parking for things like our passenger service implementation? Were these lesser in years past by
Yes.
percentage?
So like security was less. Airfield maintenance was probably stayed the same. Airfield operations has gone up a wee bit because obviously with Breeze and having TSA and having more activity within the terminal before. So yes.
So most of these some of them have increased, and we would expect that those increases to be sustained. They're not
ongoing.
one-time expenses.
Yes, and this year you're seeing pretty much, these are annual ongoing costs
Okay.
primarily this year. If we'd looked at this last year after we did all the changes, we had a lot of capital outlay in those operating
Sure.
funds with the adjusted budget.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then the final, or next slide. And this is really just a reiteration of our first slide. We try to be realistic, conservative appropriations or for our needs, revenue cycle management, and then forthcoming budget updates as we proceed through the year. And with that, I will then move into our proposed budget, going to pages in your handouts of pages, excuse me, I've lost my place. Excuse me, I have to find my location. I believe it's, yeah, I'm going to go to the proposed budget. And I do not have my page numbers with me. But we're going to start with the general fund. Fuel flowage fees are primarily a small increase this year from last year. Thank you. Page 169. With that, I do want to cover our current year budget. Overall, SBIA's operating funds, which are the general fund, property management fund, and fixed base operating fund, are showing favorable net budget results through 5/31 of $3.25 million. So we're to the good there, looking at that. The other two, debt service and capital project funds, are also where they're supposed to be. They're primarily balance sheet transactions, so we're looking basically at assets and liabilities and the cash outflow. Moving forward to the new budget year on page 169, the first page, fuel flowage fees. Those are relatively flat this year. Slight increase for an increase of our fuel flowage fees from 10 cents to 11 cents per gallon. We expect our actual fuel sales in gallons to be equivalent to this year's upcoming budget. Going to the next page, we're looking at our expenses and we're looking at our payroll. This has increased year over year. Primarily, we've increased our positions from a year ago per payroll from 83 to 110 positions. That has been primarily due to the increase in the passenger service and the operations that we had to do there. And those also include all our salaries, wages, benefits, as well as employer taxes in those areas. One of the other areas I want to highlight is account 50100, salaries reimbursed to IVDA. That is going up this year, primarily because we also shifted 3 positions that were housed in IVDA to the managers who are actually housed or located in SBIAA. So we put their subordinates with their managers. The other part that's driving that is because of the growth in SBIAA as compared to IVDA, proportionately more of IVDA's costs are being allocated to SBIAA. So for instance, our administrative services, our HR function, with 110 employees, we're looking at still about 20 for IVDA. It only makes sense that based on headcount that we're proposing more those salaries being pushed over to SBIAA. So that's the other part that's happening there. We also have salary allocations for finance, which is based on the number of invoices and purchase orders that are processed. Purchasing is the number of purchase orders. As I said, headcount is used for HR. Our insurance property, with the advent of our new software, we're allocating that based actually on the square feet of the number of properties in place. So all that is being done with activity bases that we think reflect the appropriate costs to be allocated. I'm going to kind of skip to the next page at the top, and we'll look at the top of that page, accounts 50340, insurance and the insurance workers' compensation. Those have increased again this year, no surprise. We have a little small reserve in the insurance, but that's primarily for some self-insured or if we acquire assets during the year that we have to pay additional premiums. Workers' compensation, you can see, has increased significantly this year. Primarily, that is the number of employees we added from last year, as well as our loss experience with staff, and then just generally continuing hardening of the insurance market. There are a number of accounts. Primarily, most of our accounts have decreased. As I mentioned earlier, the activity where we're doing capital outlays for passenger service readiness was a lot of deferred maintenance. We updated the signage. We did a lot of parking lot work. Those costs have all decreased significantly. You'll see that as you look at them. I'll be happy to talk about them if you see an account you'd like to see. But I'm going to skip over most of those and focus on some of the other key changes. We're looking at our services on the next page, top of the page, account 50433. That particular account, we are in negotiations with San Bernardino County Fire Protection District. We're waiting on invoices to close out this particular fiscal year. And we have new negotiations for the upcoming fiscal year, which we're getting down to some language that they wanted to be updated, as well as some costs that we're investigating. And we expect to bring that back to the commission in a future meeting once that's finalized to update that fiscal 23-24 proposed budget amount. We have vehicle replacement is up this year from last year, but that is primarily carryover for all the delayed vehicles that are coming from our purchases. We're getting one or two that are actually pushing well past a year now. When we ordered the vehicles, when they were manufactured, and we still haven't received them. So that is a little higher because of that. We're pushing some of those in. And that completes the general fund, unless someone has a question on the general fund.
Comments, questions from commissioners on the general fund? Hearing none, seeing none, go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Property management fund is essentially, as I would call, almost a sub-fund. It's how we manage our various lease properties as well as our vacant land rentals. Lease revenue is actually down a little bit from last year. That continues to reflect some of the delayed projects, late projects that we're getting, and ongoing negotiations that have taken a little bit longer to go ahead and get some of these leases going. But other than that, we've identified some possible new activity that we can do in the future, and we will be proceeding on that. Account 42600, income other, that shows a $500,000 increase. That is coming from a retroactive basically maintenance of effort, shortfall in fuel purchases that is attached to one of our leases. We didn't feel it was appropriate to put it in the lease revenue per se because it's not tied to actual rental of the property or leasing of the property, but it's tied to the activity. So we'll be pursuing that this year. Moving into the expenses, salary and wages are also up about $78,000, and that reflects the IVD allocations due to the updated activity basis. And finally, we're looking at a decrease in 50281, maintenance and repairs. A lot of that was completed in our various properties last year, so we're looking at a $231,000 decrease in that area. And then you'll see at the very bottom of that page, accounts 51810 and 51811. Insurance claims, these are not budgeted, they're unknown. We record these as we experience losses and get estimates of what's going to happen and put those in. And that's how we've decided to start tracking insurance claims, because otherwise it kind of gets lost in our budget. That completes the property management fund. Moving to the capital project fund. This one, not a whole lot of changes. As I said, we have a new revenue line, grant revenue for FAA of $1.9 million. This is attached to a $1.9 million project for AOA, or Airfield Operational Area Vehicle Access Road, which will be FAA funded in its entirety, 100%, so there's no match on that one. And then, of course, we've completed several projects this year. The FAA taxiway shoulder project was completed, so there's no follow-up costs next year on that, as well as the runway joint steel project. Everything else is actually pretty stable where it is. The one other item I want to call out is at the bottom of the page at account 53300, transfers to the airport general fund. That $2.7 million is the amount of dollars the general fund funded for capital outlay, and we're reimbursing the general fund using the Rialto proceeds. And that will then allow us to be able to continue to operate the general fund. So that completes that. Are there any questions on the capital project?
I just have one question, Mark. You always do a really good job, and I appreciate that. On item 16 on the HVAC, which is the agenda item today, where does that all those funds fit in under this agenda?
Is this the Therma contract? The Therma contract will usually winds up being spread out between the FBO
Divided into the pieces of
and the property management fund, as well as some into the.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Moving to the debt service fund, there's really nothing here to say other than the fact that we continue to fund it and continue to make our debt service. No big changes there. We're not planning in any new debt. We have a December and June payment. The December payment's about $100,000. The June payment's about 1.1. With that, moving to the FBO. I think the important thing to note in the FBO is basically in fuel sales, 47,000, all the way down to the total cost of goods sold. What we're looking at is some very large fluctuations there, and that is due to the price of the commodity itself. If you look at it, backing into the numbers, last year we forecast a average cost per gallon of about $4.65, which then rolls also obviously into the revenue line. And then this year we're budgeting an average cost per gallon of $2.81 a gallon. That $1.84 difference explains, if you look at the 25 million gallons we plan on selling this year, that explains the difference that you see in the revenue and the cost of goods sold number. That's also, you can see at the gross profit line, it stays relatively the same for the year. So those two changes are the big ones there. And I have no other highlights on the FBO, and so if there's any other questions. If not, I would ask that the Commission adopt the budget and all the attached schedules.
Okay, do we have any public comment, Madam Clerk?
No public comments on this item.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the Commissioner? Seeing none, hearing none, I need a motion.
Yeah, I got a couple questions. If we can go over, and I think this is part of the general operating budget, if we can go over the marketing, on item 14 later, it shows where some of the marketing costs are going. So I just wanted to, if we can dive into that marketing portion. It looks like it's over $500,000 for marketing.
And Mr. Gibbs, would you like to, or Amber?
Sure, yeah, I'd actually happy to hand it over to our marketing manager, Ms. Amber Casares. And I think it's worthy to note that, I know, musical chairs, but it takes a team to make it all work, right? We did have a great presenter last month. We had the principal and founder of Aviatrix Communication out with us, which is where a lot of our advertising dollars go through. I'm sorry you missed that, Councilman Sanchez. It was a great presentation, and I wish you got to meet her personally. Our budget is actually, believe it or not, it's down a bit for marketing this year. As Mr. Cousineau will tell you, we like having a balanced budget, and of course that's an important expense, but it's also an important spend to the airport as we're working to get the word out. This year was a bit heavier than most, the year that we're now exiting, primarily because, you know, there was a huge awareness campaign going on, and that required additional expense over our more common year like we've got ahead of us. We've got some established awareness out there, and there's going to be a continual focus on, you know, the markets that we have and the markets that have come up in this last year, being Vegas and Hartford, Connecticut. Both of those are doing really well. And, you know, getting that word out is going to take some additional expense this year as well. But do you have anything to add to that, Amber?
I would just add that the, with regards to Aviatrix or any of the firms that we work with, they negotiate advertising on our behalf, and it operates as a pass-through. So those fees that are for advertising are booked by those agents on our behalf, and then we pay the agent to pay the advertiser. So.
Yeah, I see the cost allocated for Aviatrix, and so it's a pass-through cost, but I think I saw also, wasn't there a line item on our own advertising that goes out, our own advertising material, our own direct from Airport Authority to communication channels?
There are some instances where we do book directly with advertising outlets. K-Rock being one of those outlets that we've booked directly. But for the most part, it's been through Aviatrix for the passenger service marketing. Okay, all right. Mostly when I put in the request to have the update, I just wanted to make sure that we were doing as much as possible. The last thing we want is for this airline who's invested here to say, hey, this is not the market I expected, and we're leaving. So I'd rather us say we did everything we could and maybe they left, but I would much rather
hey, we did everything we could, and that's why they're staying.
And that's one of the reasons why we have a comparable budget this year, to continue that momentum.
Okay, good. And one other thing, also, Aviatrix, they handle our Good Neighbor program.
Correct.
I think, was it last year's budget was 75,000?
Correct.
This year's is 37?
Correct.
Okay. My only concern is it seems like a large number, and I think the last time the Good Neighbor program gave this board a report, I think the complaints were in the single digits. So I don't know if we can justify spending so much money on literally less than 10 people who call into this program to voice their concerns about the airport activity. I want to know if you guys have a long-term plan. Is this going to dwindle down over the years? Is this going to be handled in-house in the near future? Or is this a fixed cost for the continued operation of?
Yeah, no, those are great questions. And noise issues are a really big slice of the pie at a lot of airports. We're very, very fortunate that our costs for how we manage, I mean, it's a very nimble program, and we're very proud of that. They're important resources to us. They're important resources to the FAA. They're important resources to our carriers. But that public outreach for the impacts that affect communities differently. Some communities are more concerned with noise issues than others. And you really never know when those issues are going to pop up and become bigger issues. So having a toolkit to manage expectations of the community are important. They're important to all of our surrounding jurisdictions at varying levels over the years. So we're pleased with where the costs are. They are going down, you're right. We weren't exactly sure what to expect, but we provide additional resources should we have to ramp up that toolkit on a moment's notice. But good land use planning around an airport is one of the blessings of San Bernardino International Airport. We've got large buffers on all four sides, and that's uncommon. But it does help us keep our costs low compared to other airports.
Okay. So, I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a fixed cost in perpetuity, and I trust you guys. If that's the cost of doing business, then I'm fine with it. I just wanted to make sure that, so if anyone asks, and I'm going to say, look, it's what it takes to run an airport around
I just buttress
civilization.
that by the fact that the FAA, from an industry standpoint, really encourages, appreciates, and likes the type of program that we run there. And it's an award-winning program. Not every airport gets an award for how they communicate with the community. Seeing that the cost is coming down shows that the establishment of the program has worked, and that should ensure efficiencies going forward. So it's a very specialized industry or segment in the industry, and a lot of people say it's kind of like running a hotline. It's very, very different. You have very, very well-trained professionals there that know how to calmly and respectfully explain complicated situations sometimes. So it helps everybody get the answers and the information in a timely fashion.
Now, on another thing on fleet management, I know that costs go up as we purchase new vehicles. I know in the city of I have eyeballs in the back of my head, so if anyone's making faces, be careful. No, City of San Bernardino. San Bernardino implemented. They were able to start a national account for fleet purchases, and for every 4 years, we're to save roughly around $1 million. And I don't know for a smaller operation with a smaller fleet footprint, if it's feasible. But if we can look into that, I mean, if the airport's saving $1 million every 8 years on fleet, if we have a national account, I think San Bernardino has Enterprise. I hope you guys will consider looking into that. And if it's not feasible, then it's not. But to look into it would be great.
It's a great suggestion. For instance, Mr. Kuzno's team on the purchasing side works very often with the county of San Bernardino and their procurement division.
Okay.
And because we're a joint powers authority, we can actually rely on your procurement method. So thank you for that.
All right, that's all.
All right, thank you. Mr. Burrows and Commissioners, I have to excuse myself. I have another meeting.
I'll move the item.
I actually have another question on it. So
I have to excuse myself because I have another meeting that I have to drive to. So Secretary will take over the meeting. And good luck, and I'll see you all next meeting.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
You have a question?
Yes, just before we move item 13, on the agenda, it talks about going over the Luxavere pricing policy. So I wasn't certain if we needed to get a presentation in on that to make sure we comply and before we get a motion on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have Mr. Gibbs just give you the simple answer, and it's a very simple answer. So Mark,
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
the Luxavere pricing policy, what changed?
Oh, yes, that's an excellent question. Very minor changes, mostly inflation-adjusted changes, so approximating 5%, but, moving like equipment costs up from, if there was an hourly rate of $60, it would have moved to, $65 as an example. But very minor changes, mostly inflation-adjusted.
Okay with that.
Just wanna make sure
Any
we
other
cover it.
questions or comments for staff? I made a motion, so I'll remake the motion.
And I'll second it.
And we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Mark, I just wanted to say thank you. Every month we go through this, and you're more than efficient in presenting information to us. So I know in the ad hoc committee and the budget, you do a great job. So I just wanted to say thank you and thanks to the staff for always having the information available to us.
And I can go ahead and do a roll call.
Okay, roll call.
Thank you very much. We have a motion by Member Lilburn and a second by Member Duper. Please state your votes for the record. Member Duper.
Yes.
Member Rao.
Yes.
Member Lilburn.
Yes.
Member Sanchez.
Yes.
Member Charette.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The item passes.
Great, thank you. Okay,
Secretary, one more question, sorry to be a pain. And I don't know the appropriateness of this or legality, but Colton does have their alternate, so would it be appropriate for him to take the dais
Yes, you
to
can
participate?
go ahead and do that.
good call.
Sorry.
Do we want to plot them on?
Look at that walk though. He's coming up. That right there is stellar.
This is John. Welcome, John. Okay, we'll move on to item 14, approve certain professional services agreements for the fiscal year 23-24. Mark, you're on.
Thank you. And this is to approve certain professional services agreements. This is on page 215 through 233 of your packet. This is for 24 different professional service agreements that range from $492,000 to $12,000. The approximate median value of these contracts is $59,000. They were made consistent with SBIAA purchasing policy, which allows them to be renewed annually with written notice or notification to both the commission and the CEO. And most of these are very specific knowledge that have been gained through either experience with the SBIAA through continuing projects and programs. And with that, I would ask that the commission approve the list of contracts or agreements.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on this item?
No public comments.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a second. Any comments or questions for staff? Okay, we'll do a roll call.
Thank you very much. We have a motion by Member Charette and a second by Member Duper. Please state your votes for the record. Member Chavarria.
Yes.
Member Duper.
Yes.
Member Rao, Morale abstains for the record. And Member Lilburn.
Yes.
Member Sanchez.
Yes.
And Member Charette.
Yes.
Thank you. That item passes.
Great, thank you. Move on to item 15, approve the purchase of 3 2023 Ford Hybrid. And Jonathan, this your item?
This is, thank you very much. Agency staff solicited pricing for 3 Ford Hybrid Mavericks from 3 local Ford dealers. Initially, Fairview Ford came in as the lowest bidder, but were not able to hold the trucks for the agency. As a result, the next lowest bidder became Ken Grody Ford for the 3 Maverick trucks. You may reference the bid tabulation on page 236 of your packet. The 3 trucks will be allocated for airport operations and airport maintenance. 1 truck will be as an addition for the maintenance team, and 2 for the for the operations department. 1 as an addition, 1 as a replacement for a 2008 Ford Escape. Funding for this purchase, as part of the approved 23-24 fiscal year budget under the general account 50440. Staff requests that the commission approve this item and authorize our CEO to execute all related items. I may take any questions at this time.
Move for approval?
Thank you. Any public comment on this?
No public comments.
Okay, we have a motion for approval by Supervisor Rao
Second.
and a second. Any comments or question for staff? Jonathan, I have one question. Didn't, like a meeting or two ago, we approve 3 other vehicles recently?
Yes, and that was for maintenance, for replacing 3 maintenance trucks.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Thank you very much. We have a motion by Member Rao and a second by Member Sanchez. Please state your votes for the record. Member Echevarria?
Yes.
Member Duper?
Yes.
Member Rao?
Yes.
Member Lilburn?
Yes.
Member Sanchez?
Yes.
And Member Charette?
Yes.
Thank you. That item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Move on to item 16, approve an award for the multi-year contract for Therma, not to exceed $510,887. And Jonathan?
Thank you again. So this item is to approve the HVAC maintenance contract with Therma for a 2-year contract with 2 additional year extensions in the amount of $510,887. On May 1st, agency staff publicly issued a request for proposals in adherence with SBIAA's purchasing policy. In addition to the public media posting, a total of 32 vendors were contacted and invited to bid and be part of the mandatory bid walk. On the day of the bid walk, a total of 6 vendors were present, and of those 6, only 3 proposals were submitted. You may reference the bid tabulation on page 262 of your packet. It is noteworthy that to state that bids were collected as an inclusive package for both IVDA and SBIAA agency facilities, and that staff looked for the total combined lowest cost bidder. Using this criteria, staff determined Therma LLC provided the lowest apparent combined cost, and approval of this item will allow Therma to provide the HVAC services to SBIAA facilities under the terms of the proposed agreement. Staff recommends the commission approve this professional services agreement and authorize our CEO to execute all related documents for the HVAC services in the amount not to exceed $510,887.
Move for approval?
Second.
I just have a comment. Boy, you talk about the variance in the bids here.
Right.
That's just crazy. So we're confident that even with the low bidder, we're going to get the right service?
Yes, we did see that large variance, and we were surprised as well. In fact, we had to call several references to make sure that their references were receiving the same services and costs and value out of it. And it's the way the industry's maintaining these services, and it's a bit of a challenge. But these are the prices that we received.
Wish us luck.
I know. Part of my question was if you did reach out to references and all's good.
We did, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any public comment on this item?
No public comments. Can
Roll
you just
call.
repeat the second? Is that Member Sanchez?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have a motion by Member Rao and a second by Member Sanchez. Please state your votes for the record. Member Echevarria?
Yes.
Member Duper?
Yes.
Member Rao?
Yes.
Member Lilburn?
Yes.
Member Sanchez?
Yes.
And Member Charette?
Yes.
Thank you. That item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 17, a review status of the action plan for the period through June 30th.
I will again be brief. Thank you for the budget commissioners and for your continued support and leadership. I want to especially thank the entire staff for their inputs and work on this, particularly Mr. Cousineau and Alka and the finance team for getting this all into the buckets again. So thanks again, Mark. I do need to end on a bittersweet note, and so Kat's going to help me give you some news that we need to share, and that goes to some of our talented team there. So Kat.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As we finalize the action plan and move forward, we will be doing this with one valued staff member short, Jennifer Rodriguez, who very eloquently presented our plan this afternoon, has accepted a position with the City of Upland. This is her last commission meeting. She's talented and a great team member, and she will certainly be missed, but we wish her the best of luck. I will forewarn, this is a niche position, so hang on to your clerks because I will be poaching So our recruitment will start soon.
Oh, no.
Thank you.
And that concludes our report.
Thank you for that, and give Jennifer our best and tell her thank you for all of her work. Okay, any added items too that we need to, and any public comments?
No public comments.
Gotcha, thank you. Any commission member items, comments? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn. Thank you. Thank you guys for the budget and all that you do.